Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of 3-Bit Talks. I'm 3-Bit and today Bethesda just dropped a bomb on Twitter, essentially stating that they are teaming up with LucasArts, creating a new Indiana Jones game. If you guys like videos like these, be sure to ring that notification bell to be notified when our next video hits. And with that being said, let's talk about it. So this information made quite a lot of fans salty online because, for one, we know Bethesda and ZeniMax Games are now owned by Microsoft. The deal should be closing in within the next few months, and it's pretty obvious that most games will be exclusive to Xbox platforms. You don't buy a $7.5 billion company to then go ahead and put your games on other platforms, especially as keeping it on your own has more potential to grow your own ecosystem and Game Pass. If you want to know more about that topic, I did a video of it here. This deal is very interesting because Disney did just announce yesterday that they are bringing back Lucasfilm Games for Star Wars titles, essentially continuing to license the franchise to outside developers. And today Bethesda announced that the Indiana Jones game, they pretty much announced the game with a teaser. So right now, the confirmed Lucasfilm game projects for 2021 is Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, potentially the sequel to Jedi Fallen Order, which could be an entirely new franchise according to EA. And now we have Indiana Jones by Machine Games. In order for people to question the deal, which we will jump into, we have to start off with Disney. What did they say about Lucasfilm Games? The announcement note made by Disney is that future titles will continue to be developed in collaboration with the finest studios across the industry. An article from Engadget points out that LucasArts is back, but only as a brand. So this is really interesting because Disney found some success partnering with developers such as Insomniac, right, with Marvel's Spider-Man, and also Square Enix with Avengers. I think it's important to note in both of those instances, they kind of let developers do what they want in terms of exclusivity. In Avengers, they're locking off Spider-Man to just the PlayStation platform sometime in the future, and Spider-Man and Miles Morales are exclusive to PlayStation platforms. The exception is EA titles, which tends to go multi-platform for most of their games. So relating to that history, I honestly do think it can be similar here. Lucasfilm doesn't seem to be interested in becoming a developer again, but considering Disney and Lucasfilm house some incredible franchises, it does make sense that they do want to make some money by licensing out the franchises that they do have. So Machine Games is underneath ZeniMax, and ZeniMax is soon to be completely owned by Microsoft in a few months. It's important to point out that most games coming from ZeniMax in the future is going to be exclusive. That's just how it is. So look to what Microsoft has been doing with their purchase studios and see how games has evolved from being multi-platform games to now going exclusive. An example is Outer Worlds. The deal was made beforehand, and so it was multi-platform. The sequels have been confirmed to be exclusive. Hellblade 2 is another example, a game that featured on PlayStation. The sequel is now only on Xbox and PC. Phil has stated before that he hates that Microsoft has the reputation of his games going to other platforms, so it's more likely you'll see more exclusivity in the future. So when I see comments like this, it's one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video. This comment does not exist for Sony titles at all. People don't say Sony is losing money by restricting Spider-Man games to PlayStation. People don't say Uncharted is definitely coming to Xbox, right? Especially as they just purchased 23 plus studios. The reason I also wanted to make this video is because I'm starting to see a lot of hypocrisy from Sony fans. You can't say Xbox has no games while also begging Xbox to bring its games to their favorite platform. You know, you kind of gotta pick one. Either it has no games or it does. And I'd also like to bring up this point. It's entirely possible that this game is a part of the games that Microsoft announced as a case-by-case basis, but I do think it's more likely that this game will be exclusive due to Disney giving a bit more freedom to its developers in what they want to do. Example being the Kingdom Hearts games, Insomniac Spider-Man, and EA with their interpretations of Star Wars, right? So what are the counterpoints for it being exclusive and it not being exclusive? So the argument that can be said for this game going multi-platform is the language used by the Xbox executives and the fact that you don't see Sony retweeting the game, right? So Phil mentions the fact that Todd Howard and Machine Games are creating a new Indiana Jones game and that he cannot wait to learn more. The last bit of "cannot wait to learn more" indicates that he didn't know that it has happened in the first place, or the more likely one is that he's seen earlier concepts of the game and he's seeing it being updated through the teaser. Aaron Greenberg, who is in Xbox Games Marketing at Microsoft, says, "Oh my gosh, yes, both of these have a hint of surprise in them." And with that being said, it is important to point out a few things. For one, Phil has said legally he's not allowed to disclose any deals of exclusivity with ZeniMax games until the deal is fully closed, which again, you can expect to see the deal being closed very soon in the next coming months, as they said Q1. It's highly likely that every game pumping out from ZeniMax, Bethesda, Machine Games, with the exception of Elder Scrolls Online, because that is more of a platform, that the Ghostwire games, the Deathloop games, those are multi-platform and are contracted to being so. So it's very highly likely that every game coming out of that studio is going to be exclusive. Microsoft fully owns them, so it owns the studio and it owns all of its IP as well. So the only reason I can even think of a scenario where this game is not exclusive is if there are some contracts that has happened before they were purchased by Microsoft and they have to honor those contracts held by Disney, which I've said before, they are a bit more lenient in what they allow. So if the deal is similar to the Ghostwire and Deathloop deal, where Bethesda games are timed exclusive to PlayStation, despite that company now being underneath the Xbox branch, then the scenario of Indiana Jones being multi-plat or even timed makes sense. From what I'm reading about the deal, it seems more likely that the contract is for Bethesda and Machine Games to use the franchise, not necessarily going into details on what platforms it should be available on, how they should develop the game. And you know, I'll be for sure looking more into this and consider the fact that it'd be odd for this game to go to like the Nintendo Switch, right? Making it quite weird to have some arrangement on where it must go to the PlayStation and or Xbox in an agreement where the outline seems to be to make a game from this particular license. So it seems a bit out there, but I can see a little bit of an argument for both, but it does seem to be leaning a bit towards it being exclusive at this point. So I can also see a scenario where Lucasfilm has just gave Machine Games the license to make the game and Disney is compensated with a percentage of the game sales similar to the Star Wars licensing they have now, basically giving Machine Games the free reign to do what they please with the license as long as they stay true to the Indiana Jones character, as they are pretty serious. Disney is very serious about their games and games they license to sticking to the source material with their lore teams. So I guess if we were to analyze this early, a good question to ask is how often do we see an announcement trailer of a game without a platform specified, despite this game early in development, that's usually stated pretty clearly. Another question to analyze is, we know this game is very far in development. You probably won't see this game for quite some time, and it's safe to say by the time the game releases, ZeniMax will fully be owned and controlled by Microsoft. How will that affect things? Is it possible they're not stating the platforms because they're waiting for the acquisition to be finalized? It really does make me wonder what other deals exist out there for Microsoft, as they have stated right after the Bethesda deal that they do intend to buy more studios, and how vital Bethesda is to Xbox's brand, their success. They no longer need to just rely on Gears, Halo, and Forza carrying the weight of making the Xbox platform successful. They now own 23 plus studios, all creating tons and tons of games. I do also want to point out that during the interview conversation that Todd Howard had with Phil Spencer, Todd was dropping hints about the game months ago in his background. He has a little golden statue in the Ark from Indiana Jones, and I really got to start looking at these dudes' backgrounds for clues some more. If there's one thing we know for sure about this game, is that Machine Games, they're pretty good at developing games, killing Nazis, and I can't wait for us to learn more. Did you agree with this video or not? Let us know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe for more content from the Video Games HD. I'm 3-Bit signing off. Have a good one.